Welcome everybody to another video update. This week, another week has passed. Let's take a look at the trends. When we see this gold chart here, we have been talking about this so much. We had the last couple of weeks, and this is more than a month now, where this has been going nowhere. It's really boring to be in this position, but let's wait for that fractal inside of the balance zone. Just like down here, you do have your breakout entries. The first one was here. The next one is somewhere in this area. We have 3 fractals. It doesn't really matter which one you take if you wait for that fractal inside the balance zone. Let's just mark that here, and now we're waiting for another fractal, maybe here, who knows. We have one internal fractal that is above the balance zone. We don't really care about that because it marks an internal correction. We're waiting for some demand right in this area. Who knows how far it's gonna go? Who knows how long it's going to take to bounce off of this balance zone? It's getting really interesting now though, since a close inside the balance zone has happened last week, and we do have to have some nerves and some patience here to stick with our position and not sell it at the worst moment before the market then turns around. What we see is on the monthly chart, we might eventually be getting the fractal that we want to see, or that we like to see, maybe on top of the last month's candle, to give you the first breakout on this highest of high time frames where we see the overall trend. This blue line here, which looks like the middle of nowhere on the monthly, is the balance zone demand level, where this market could turn around, and maybe this takes until the end of September, and then we'll have this we have this fractal breakout on the monthly. And once we have that, I mean, nobody knows how long it's going to take for this market to continue what has already started from down here to up here, the uptrend. This was just the first leg moving from the bottom to the top of the balance zone. So this is merely the initial movement until we see the continuation all the way to new all-time highs. On the daily chart, you see this major correction finally happening down here. The AO, the momentum indicator, did not go below the 0 line. It was in an uptrend. It did not go below the 0 line for all of this time period when the market was corrective. It has only been the last 2 days that it's been below the 0 line, which indicates this major correction that we actually want to see. What you do see very often is price moving down somehow or somewhere, bouncing off. We are in the balance zone on the weekly here, and then we'll see that turnaround. You will see this fractal here being taken. We will have some demand coming in at this point, but usually prices go lower than that and then they take off. This line here is simply an orientation. I could move it here, I could also move it here, which would probably mean we are coming close to the blue line on the weekly chart. This support level here is the last fractal inside the balance zone on the weekly. Let's see how far price will come down. Some patience, or a lot of patience actually, as well as some strong nerves, are necessary here to not quit the position. We'll see how it goes. Nobody knows. Silver shows you just the same picture. You have your monthly chart that does not have a fractal yet, but the black line here could indicate a pretty good level for a first fractal breakout, and then the actual move that we're waiting for will happen. The weekly chart looks pretty devastating here. We had some very negative last 2 weeks where we see this price closing inside the balance zone as well. Let's see which of these lines will be the important turnaround lines. Where will the market find demand again to rise? Usually one of these 3 lines will be the one where the market turns, you have your last fractal inside the balance zone. At that point, we're waiting for one here somewhere. The daily shows you that we have a major correction going on, and somewhere in this area we will see that fractal. Since we are up on the monthly chart, we can assume that that fractal will truly occur. Let's simply stick around with this and wait. Let's check out the euro. The euro dollar has been really annoying. It has been breaking out to the downside, but the price action has not been too thankful. It's actually trading higher ever since the breakout occurred. The breakout occurred with this fractal. You're selling into the direction of the overall trend. So this is the overall trend. It's down. Then you have 1.5 years correction, and this is your fractal that triggers, or that is triggered, and prices are supposed to continue to the downside. As you can see, it didn't happen here yet. It was also really corrective for the last couple of weeks. Your stop is here above that fractal, and now we have the last week that has not been able to trade higher, reaching that resistance as mentioned last week. However, we are coming back into the no man's land, which is the balance zones. Let's see if we'll see a continuation to the downside. So far, no reason to exit this short, even though it has been so annoying and we have been in this for so long, but that's just how it goes. Taking a look at the British Pound Australian, here we also see some rally inside this huge downtrend. If you look at this on the monthly chart, look at how devastatingly rapid this goes to the downside. I still believe we'll see a lower low than here, but of course, if you trade such long time frames, this is gonna take, you know, it really feels like forever. You're in this forever. However, your positions will accumulate quite some profits. If you profit from a trend, you take thousands of pips here. In the British Pound Australian, you have these three entries, and we are clearly below the balance zone. It doesn't really matter what price is doing once, or as long as it stays below the balance zone. It could touch that green line, it could give you a fractal in here. It could take months before it continues to the downside, or maybe because the pressure is down so much, it will just continue just after 1, 2, 3 weeks of correction. We don't know. We just want to make sure that at the end of each week we are exactly following our process and actually trading as the market is telling us to trade. We don't want to get annoyed. We don't want to get overly enthusiastic. We just want to keep trading what the market is telling us to trade. In this case, it means we are staying short. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq. These indices for the past 3 weeks also haven't done anything. You might get a little bit nervous here with a market coming out so high. You have your breakout here, and now the market is taking a pause from this huge move. But again, we're just above the balance zone. There's no real reason to go short or follow what George Soros says and go short, sell this, or paint some sort of end time scenario here with the market crashing or whatever. We're far away from that. Before the market crashes, it will give you that fractal you need to sell, and we're far away from that. The Dow is pretty much the same. If we take a look at the DAX index, we are talking about the German index now. We have broken out, and we are now consolidating just on the breakout level. As you can see, it's far from a new high. It is by far not as bullish as the US indices have been during the last couple of months. So these positions here are pretty straightforward. We have nothing to do at the end of this week. Just like usually, most of the time we don't do anything. That is the most important thing in trend following. Just be there, Make yourself ready to perceive the signals and then let the market do it. There is no work involved, there's no thinking involved, there is just waiting involved. Thanks again for watching, and see you next week.